1258, Baghdad. The river turned black, not with mud, not with blood. That came later, but with ink. The greatest library the world had ever built was thrown into the Tigris until the river itself carried away 5 centuries of human knowledge. The empire that gave the world algebra, the empire that preserved Aristotle when much of Europe had forgotten him, the empire that transformed a desert into the intellectual heart of the world. Yet, that same empire collapsed in only 8 days. How does a civilization that brilliant us fall so completely? This is the story of how Islam's golden age collapsed. You are watching Empires of Earth. Discover the rise, witness the fall. Brothers at War, 809 to 813 AD. Harun al-Rashid names 2 heirs, his son Al-Amin, who takes the throne first, and another son, Al-Ma'mun, installed as governor of Khurasan, next in line after his brother. It's a plan built on trust, and trust collapses almost immediately. Advisors push Al-Amin to remove his brother from succession entirely. Barely a year into his reign, he does exactly that.
The die is cast to Baghdad.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
Then besiege Baghdad itself. After a brutal year-long siege, the city falls in 813. Al-Amin is captured while trying to flee and executed. For the first time, the Abbasid capital itself is ravaged by Abbasid armies. Al-Ma'mun's gamble and the Mihna, 813 to 833 AD, ruling initially from Merv, Al-Ma'mun tries something unprecedented: reconciliation with the Alids, the family descended from Ali, long sidelined by the Abbasids. He adopts green, their color, marries 2 daughters into the family, and names an Alid imam as his heir apparent. It backfires badly. The move sparks fierce opposition in Iraq, triggering revolts in Baghdad. After 6 years, Al-Ma'mun abandons the alliance and moves the capital back to restore order. He also launches a controversial religious campaign, enforcing the doctrine that the Quran was created by God at a point in time rather than eternal alongside him. This triggers the Mihna, nearly 2 decades of persecution during which dissenting scholars are imprisoned or executed for refusing to accept it. Religious unity, once a source of strength, becomes a tool of division. In 833, Al-Ma'mun dies, and the Mihna he began outlives him. He is succeeded by his brother, Al-Muqtasim, far more interested in military matters than theology. During the earlier civil war, Al-Muqtasim had begun purchasing Turkish slave soldiers from Central Asia. Boys seized or bought young, given rigorous military training alongside an Islamic education, emerging as elite, superbly skilled mounted archers. These Mamluks form a corps personally loyal to the Caliph alone, useful for intimidating rivals, but alienating to the old Arab military nobility, some of whom stop receiving traditional pay entirely, fueling riots in Baghdad's streets. To ease tension, Al-Muqtasim builds an entirely new city, Samarra, just to house his Turkish troops away from the unrest. It's a fateful decision. Real military power is quietly shifting away from Arab hands. The Caliph becomes a figurehead, 861 to 945 AD. In 861, Caliph al-Mutawakkil is assassinated by his own Turkish guards. The soldiers meant to protect the throne are now the ones deciding who sits on it. A chaotic period known as the Anarchy at Samarra follows, with caliphs rapidly installed and removed by military factions, several ruling for less than a year. By the 10th century, a Persian dynasty, the Buyids, seizes Baghdad itself, and reduces the Caliph to a purely ceremonial religious figure, still nominally head of the faith, but stripped of all real political and military power. Seljuk Turks and a Fractured World. 1055 to 1258 EAD, the Seljuk Turks conquer Baghdad in 1055, taking the title of Sultan and ruling in the Caliph's name while holding all real authority. The empire that once stretched unbroken from Spain to India is now a patchwork of rival sultanates and breakaway dynasties. Fatimids in Egypt, Seljuks in the east, the second Umayyad line still surviving in Spain. The Crusades erupt in the Levant soon after, fragmenting Muslim political unity further, even as cities like Damascus and Cairo remain vibrant centers of learning. The Mongols arrive, 1206 to 1257 AD. Far to the east, Genghis Khan has united the Mongol tribes and begun a conquest eventually stretching from Korea to Eastern Europe. By the 1250s, his grandson Hulagu Khan turns his armies toward the Islamic heartland, first destroying the Nizari Ismaili strongholds in Persia, then setting his sights on the ultimate prize, Baghdad, still nominally the seat of the Caliphate after 5 centuries. The Siege of Baghdad, 1258 AD, Caliph al-Mustasim, the last Abbasid ruler of a unified caliphate, badly underestimates the threat, refusing to adequately fortify the city or negotiate seriously. Hulagu's forces surround Baghdad in January 1258, and within days, its defenses collapse. What follows is one of history's most catastrophic sacks. The Mongols massacre much of the population, destroy mosques and palaces, and, most devastatingly, burn the great libraries of Baghdad, including remnants of the House of Wisdom. Contemporary accounts describe the Tigris River running black with ink from the sheer volume of destroyed manuscripts and red with blood in the days that follow. Al-Mustasim is captured and executed, according to widespread tradition, wrapped in a carpet and trampled by horses, a method meant to avoid spilling royal blood directly onto the ground. With his death, the unified Abbasid Caliphate, after more than 500 years, effectively ceases to exist. Embers of a Golden Age. A surviving member of the Abbasid family was later installed as a ceremonial caliph in Mamluk Cairo, a title that would survive for centuries, but without Baghdad, without an independent army, and without a true empire. Yet the intellectual legacy of the Abbasid age did not disappear with the city. Long before Baghdad fell, centuries of translated and original scholarship in mathematics, medicine, astronomy, philosophy, and science had already traveled westward through networks linking the Islamic world with Spain, Sicily, and Latin Europe. The empire could be destroyed. Its ideas could not be contained so easily. So how did a civilization this powerful fall so completely? Historians point to no single cause. Instead, the Abbasid decline was the result of pressures that accumulated over centuries. Increasingly powerful military elites, bitter political struggles, theological conflict, autonomous dynasties, shrinking territorial control, and a fragmented political world that could rarely act as one. By the time the Mongols reached Baghdad's gates, the Caliphate had already lost much of the territorial and military power it once commanded. But historians still debate how inevitable the final catastrophe really was. Some emphasize the deep structural weakness of the Abbasid state and argue that Baghdad faced an enemy whose military power was extraordinarily difficult to resist. Others point to failures of leadership, diplomacy, preparation, and regional cooperation, suggesting that a stronger defense might at least have delayed or possibly altered the city's fate. What is certain is that the siege of 1258 destroyed Abbasid rule in Baghdad, but it did not destroy everything the Abbasid age had created. The knowledge accumulated, translated, debated, and expanded across centuries had already moved far beyond the walls of the city. And long after Baghdad fell, those ideas continued their journey. The Abbasid Empire fell, but its greatest legacy survived: knowledge, ideas that crossed borders, languages, and centuries, and continued shaping the world long after Baghdad fell. Every empire rises, every empire falls, but some ideas outlive them all. Could Baghdad have survived? Tell us in the comments. And which empire should we explore next?